Yeah, I'm getting the top of your head, but that ain't no problem. All right. You about ready? I'm gonna mic you up when it's time. Matter of fact, let me mic you up now. Put that on you. Huh? You gonna put that on your thing?
Yeah, I'm gonna probably it's getting hot in here. I'm gonna probably take this off. So yeah. Do y'all usually have a full room when you're in here?
The last one we come to, no, it was nearly this many people.
Yeah.
Now I got it. Now I got it. Excuse me. Check. Can you close that door, Joel? Yes. Hey, how y'all doing? Thank you guys for coming out. By the way, we are going to live stream this on YouTube. So if you want to go back and watch it later, just follow our channel, and I'll be glad to give you a link to that later. If everybody could sign that sheet that's going around that would be amazing. Just put your name and all your deets on there so we can save you for later. My name is Bill. I help run the Burlington Real Estate Investors Club with my buddy Sean. Sean's in Colorado enjoying the sights and probably skiing right now, so he won't be here with us, but I appreciate y'all coming out. There are a lot of first-timers here. What I'd like to do is start with you guys, and y'all just say who you are and what you do. All right, and we're going to work our way around the room if you've never been here before. Go ahead.
I'm Jeff Revis, and I do construction work.
All right, go ahead.
I'm Mason Revis, and I do construction work.
You gonna talk? Check it.
Don't even forget
Let's
this.
see, everybody. Marlene, go ahead and tell everybody.
Marlene Maniba, I work in IT.
Awesome. Good to have you with us. Have you been here before?
Yes, I've been here.
But is that your husband? You had me. Go ahead.
I'm Nicholas Noble. I wholesale real estate.
I'm Chuck Terrell. I do subcontract work.
Pass it back to Joel. Actually, Joel, you got a mic. Just tell everybody who you are.
Yeah, I'm Joe Martin, and I'm a real estate investor. Is that?
You can pass that microphone over there.
Yeah.
Not Joel, but the other one. Lord have mercy.
I don't know if it's working or not. Is it working? Okay.
I'm Blake. I'm with Richie trying to get into real estate.
Oh, you finally made it.
Dana Martin,
Maybe
I'm
we'll let you use
Joel's
his
wife, Martin Properties.
All right.
My name is John Martin. I'm a senior at NC State and also a real estate broker.
I am Marla Sewell, and I am a realtor, property manager, and investor.
Cool, thank you. All right, so tonight we have the privilege of having Joel Martin speak. When I just sold my second house and I was renting an apartment. Dana was my landlord, and Joel was already doing deals. So he was doing, when did you start, Joel?
Probably 93.
Okay. I think I was 100.
I was at 93, I think. Yeah.
Was it 97 when Hunter's Bridge opened up? We were the first people in that apartment. It was a good time. So Joel is going to talk to us tonight about his experience at where he was when he got started, what he's was able to do, and how he got his first deal and all that kind of stuff. Before we get into that, though, is anybody here a member of a local real estate organization like a RIA? Which RIA are you guys members of?
I'm Triad.
Triad. I'm also Triad. If you are not and you want to be a real estate investor, I don't know where you guys are from, you definitely want to join either Triad RIA or NC RIA or TRIA or wherever, or the local RIA where you are. We are just a Burlington Real Estate Investors Club. We are not a nonprofit. We're just a group. We don't charge. We just like to teach people about the right ethical way to do real estate and help people get started. And then we hope that you will learn from us and that you will say, hey, we got a deal. You want to buy the deal? And then we'll come buy the deal from you. That's our whole goal. So, and then we also do property management and realty work as well. We focus mostly on property management and flipping houses. We do realty kind of on the side, but we definitely help a lot of people be successful, and it's a really good thing. So, does anybody have a deal that they have under contract that they want to sell to somebody in this room? Nobody? All right, because there's buyers. Who can buy a house tomorrow in this room? How many hands you got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 buyers in this room. The majority of the people who come to these meetings are wholesalers. But here we got 9 buyers. I don't know how many people here, but there's over 20. And if you bring a deal here, when we have this kind of crowd, and it's a real deal, I guarantee you'll get it sold. Would that be a good thing? All right, cool. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Joel to come up here and tell us his story. Come on up. Let's clap. Woo! And if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'll get this mic to you. Ask the question in the mic because we are trying to go live.
Yeah, I've not spoken in a long time, and what I've got here, and I want everybody to write your goals down as to what you want to do. And all I've got here is just something, this year, we've been purging our closet, everything, and I found this stuff, this stuff is pretty much 30 years old when I'm getting ready to send it around and you guys look at it.
Hey, Joel, swap it out.
That's why I didn't.
wanna
Yep.
put that on.
Check, baby, check, baby, check, baby. So, it's just 3 little copies, but we were purging them. My wife found this stuff, and it's pretty sophomoric. And the first page is it's what I gave to a banker. And I look back when I first started doing this, and I'm my senior year in college, and I'm trying to go buy houses, and I don't have any money, but I do have good credit, and I did educate myself on how to get money, and i.e. credit cards and credit lines and stuff like that. I've never borrowed hard money, never had to. But we'll go over in a little bit how I was buying houses with credit cards. We'll go over that in a little bit, so don't let me forget. And but this front page, and I look at some of the stuff I asked bankers to do, and I'm like, I can't believe I asked these guys to do some of this stuff, and they jumped in bed with me. And then the second page is it's just a short-term goal, and then the third page almost makes me cry because it's just a page about wanting to do good for your family and that kind of thing. So I'll put it here, and my business card's on there. If anybody wants to write the number down, my number is 336-516-0487. But you guys can just kind of pass this around and look, and then Trip, you don't need to see it. You've probably already seen that stuff. So it was just a sheet. The top sheet is a sheet where I was asking banks for money, and I look back at all of that, and I'm like, I can't believe that these guys. But for I probably interviewed 8 banks a week back for when I was first starting, and 7 of them told me no. Sometimes 8, and it probably wasn't 8 a week. It was probably 8 a month. And my wife's like, once they started lending me money, my wife said, I can't believe they're doing this. You're making Mickey Mouses out of these bankers. But what you got to sell yourself on, you got to sell them, the banks. You got to sell yourself to the bank. And I'm driving a $500 car. In my first year, I think I borrowed a couple $100,000. And now this is a time when you could buy a house for $35,000 and $40,000 for $25,000. So I'm hitting all the banks, and when I'm doing this stuff, I'm hitting the local banks. I'm not going to Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo don't care about little schmucks like us, But the local bank, you got 10 houses, the local bank's going to listen to you. 10 houses to Wells Fargo is nothing. That's like a dime in Vegas. It's nothing. So one, write down your goal sheet. My first deal was my own home I bought, and the only help I got there, my dad did lend me $1,500 on that one. Then my second deal was I assumed a loan for a little bank called First Savings in Mebane. I assumed a loan there. And then after that, I made friends with those guys, and I scraped up enough money, because keep in mind these houses are $35,000 that we're buying back 25 years ago. So, but that's still like buying a $90,000 house now, so it's still all relative. So I scraped up enough to put the money down on one house. The house would be $50,000. So I got to put down 15 to 20%. What's 20% of 50,000? My practical math is horrible. 10,000. Okay. So I would put that money down on the house, and I knew after I put the money down, when I wanted to roll it into the next one, I would refinance that house a few months later. Let me get my water back there. Can you hand me my water? Right, yeah, right there, yep. So what I would do was, when I was rolling that money over, I would go through. Now, did it cost me money to have it reappraised and refinanced? Yeah, it did. But I took that 10,000 that I had, and I got that 10,000, a lot of it off of credit lines and off of credit cards. So, and now was I paying 21 and 22%? Mm-hmm. I was paying 21, 22% on that money. But I'm getting the money, and I'm borrowing this money from a little bank in Mebane called First Savings. Now, everybody else, my other investor buddies, they're getting money at 8.5%, 8.5% from Wells Fargo, and they're having to beg them to get the money. I'm going to the local banks, and I'm paying 10%. 10%, I think I paid 10.5% was the most I ever paid. Unlike the 80s where our parents paid, 18%. So, but main thing is I'm getting the money, so I'm not looking at the little stuff. So this house that I bought for 50, put 10 in, is now worth 85 or 90. So I'm turning that money over, and then while I'm doing this, I'm building my credit. I'm applying for credit cards. Now, the credit card companies, they want you to go out here and go buy trips, go buy all that garbage. They don't want you to use that money to go make money. That's not what they advertise. They want you to spend it on cruises, clothes, and crap like that. I didn't do that. I took my credit cards, and I would take it, and sometimes I'd borrow it, it'd be 21%, and I'd go into the bank. I remember one banker, he said, well, you don't really have any money in my bank. And I'll tell everybody, I don't really think anything of him. His name's Charles Canada. And so some of you guys probably know him. But he called me out. He said, you don't even have any money in my bank. I said, I don't, but I got perfect credit, and I got a great deal here. Can you finance? I got the money down. And so he turned me down. So I took my credit cards, and I borrowed off of them, and then I put $15,000 in his bank. And $15,000 in his bank back then, that's like putting $50,000 in the bank now. And I'm young, and he didn't want to lend me money anyway. But when I went back to him later on, I said, I got money in here now. So his lead banker lent me the money, and I did the next deal. And so, but the thing is to keep rolling that money over. Let me see what I got here. All right. So everybody in here, you hear people say, oh, he's a millionaire, he's a millionaire, he's a millionaire. Well, to be a millionaire in real estate, it ain't that hard, guys. It ain't that hard. And when I had an uncle that had 10 houses. When I was in college, he coached me a little bit, and I thought, God, 10 houses, holy cow, somebody got 10 houses. I thought that was the neatest thing in the world, 10 houses. And so he coached me a little bit, but I was always reading something, and you guys need to always be reading something. And my wife will tell you, whenever we would go somewhere, I'd go to the bookstore, and I think one time we had $90 to go to the beach on, and I bought a book. I bought a book for $30, and that book changed my life. That book, it sparked me, and we still joke about it now. But it sparked me to get the idea for rooming houses. So right now, everybody wants to, everybody's thinking about $1 million, how to make $1 million in real estate. All right, so if you got 10 houses at $100,000, what does that make you? And they're paid for. What does that make you? That makes you a millionaire. You got 20 houses at $50,000, makes you a millionaire. It's not that hard, but it's going to be a slower million. How do you eat an elephant? I know people know that. One bite at a time. That's exactly right. So I had a bunch of buddies, and you need to buy and hold. They all bought a bunch of stuff and they sold it. And they weren't thinking that one day they're going to be 40 or 50 or 55. Now at 56, what I am now, do I want to buy a bunch of stuff and hold it now? No. I like what I've got now because most of it's paid for, and I have a decent monthly income because I did buy and hold. So you need to buy and hold too. Flipping's great. But let's face it, we all spend pretty much what we make, So we spend what we make, and I flipped a lot of houses and made millions of dollars, and I spent a lot of money. And but the stuff I got now that's paid for is mine. It's like a slot machine that pays out every month, So you gotta have your rentals. Your flips are good. You gotta have your rentals. The, the next thing, you just need to think about, oh yeah, on the credit cards, I literally bought a house for $9,000 on Birch Bridge Road. The deals that'll make you the most money are a lot of times the deals that other people walk away from. So, and you get, and it kills me, these realtors, and I have it out with some of them, I'll list something and they're like, oh, that house needs this and that, and I'm like, how many houses you got, dude? And they're like, well, I don't. And I'm not trying to say this but I've owned over 250 houses. I owned 100 at one time. Right now I own probably 40, 45 or something like that. So, and I'm good with that. I can live off of that. You do the numbers on 45 times whatever, $800-900 a month. You know, we can all live off that. So, but think about it, guys. If you only have 3 or 4 houses when you retire, let's just say you got 3 houses at $1,000 a month. Would that not make the difference in how you retire? That's only $3,000 a month. So you figure that house, you know, any 2-bedroom house now is going to be $1,000 a month in this market. Would that not make the difference in how you retire? So you don't have to have 50 or 100, but do it. But also, don't get out here. I get these investors call me all the time. They're like, well, I want to buy 12 houses this year, you know, or whatever. I'm like, don't fall into that, you know, I want to buy 12, you know, and if the deal's right, then do it. If it's not, then don't. But don't be afraid to pull the trigger. And some of the deals that you're going to do, I even did some where they didn't cash flow, but I had the money to form the cash flow before they did. But at the end of the day, it's not that hard to have $1 million in net worth, you know, in this real estate thing. So if anybody's got any questions, I'll try to, and that, that's about all I have to say here, but if anybody wants to, y'all got any questions, I'll try to answer them.
What was the book?
What was what?
What was the book?
It was a book, it's so many.
It changed your life.
It was so many, but this particular book this one book was Russ Whitney, Building Wealth.
Building Wealth.
And so, yep, and then, I mean, I've read so many, and that's what I'm telling you, you guys have to read, and I still like to read the written page. I've got a dossier of books in here, a lot of them that are probably packed up somewhere. But you guys need to always be reading, and whenever I pick up a book, I would pick the book up and I flip through it, and if it had a bunch of graphs and numbers, and right now all these investors are doing, all of them are like, well, the ROI is, and you got to multiply it times 0.75%, and you know, all this. I would walk in a house and I looked at it and I'm like, well, let's see, I can put it back together for 10 grand. I'm gonna have 40 in it, and then it's gonna be worth 75. And that's the way you do your numbers. You sit here and try to do the equations, you know, that's going on now with all these young people. I'm not saying that doesn't work, but I'm just saying you got to look at it yourself. And when you go and you're pulling comps in Clayton, North Carolina versus Burlington, it's two different things. You know, so you got to look at what's in front of you. You know, but you can't be afraid to pull the trigger. But don't pull the trigger and go borrowing money and putting yourself out there if you don't feel good about it. But you gotta pull the trigger at some point. So.
Joel, what's the most creative deal that you ever did?
God, so many of them were I don't even know if I can answer that because when we didn't have any money, we had to do we had to do. I mean, I've traded cars, you know, cars for, huh?
Getting money back at closing?
Oh yeah. At first, yeah, I've got a stack of closing statements where I would actually go to closing and get money back, and that's one reason we had the debacle back in 2008 and the 80s was because a lot of that garbage was going on. The difference was I paid everybody back, you know, but yeah, I get money back at closing all the time, and but the first deal I did, I took back a second mortgage, you know, for the guy on his house, and then I ended up buying another house from him, and paid him. I didn't even put any money down on that one. The bank lent me the money, and how they let that go. The bank lent me the money on it, and then I made him payments for the down payment. And I look back, I'm like, I can't believe I convinced the bank to do that kind of stuff, you know. So, but you gotta sell yourselves to your local bankers, and don't go into local banks beating on your chest like you're, telling a banker, hey, you get, and I had a colleague that I was trying to coach, and I gave him my banker's number, and he called me and said, who's this yo-yo coming in my bank beating on his chest? Because he went in beating on his chest, telling him how much the bank was gonna make off of the interest that he was gonna pay him. You think that banker gives a crap about that interest? That banker makes $100,000 a year. He doesn't make any money on the commission. Now, your mortgage brokers make money on commission, but your regular banker that's in your brick and mortar bank, they don't give a shit. They're not gonna, they don't care if they lend you that money. They're still gonna eat at the country club tomorrow night. So they don't care. Your mortgage lender does. So when you go in, I mean, I'm not saying go in, with your head down, but go in with kind of a plan, what you want to say. But your local banks is going to be your key. And now, if you got crappy credit, then you need to start doing some credit rebuilding. You need to start getting your credit cards, your what do you call them? Secured credit cards. You need 3 trade lines. 3 trade lines is the key, and they don't have to be $10,000. They can be $500 or $1,000, but it needs to be reporting. And with credit, you don't want to, if you get a $5,000 credit card, you don't want to run it up to $4,800. And you don't want to pay it off every month. You guys know that, right? You don't want to pay. You want to, and it's crappy the way the credit game works. You got to maintain credit and stay in debt to get credit, even though you can pay it off every month. And so I learned that early on when I was in college. I'm like, you can't pay it off every month. And so we built our son's credit, both of them, and that they go to state. Hopefully they won't abuse that because they've got a nice fat credit line, that we built and all that. But does anybody got any questions?
I got one. So you mentioned that you bought a house with credit cards. What was that process like?
I walked in the bank, and this house, first of all, I already had a relationship with the bank. So I bought one on Bridge Road. I paid $9,000 for it. I walked in the bank, and I borrowed $9,000 off a credit card. And then I bought the house. And I was paying 21%. So then I went to the bank after I fixed it up, and I can still take you to the house on Birch Bridge Road. It's a shack with a Duke power meter on it. That's all it is. Everybody laughed at me when I bought it. So I bought it, and then I refinanced it at the bank. I put on my credit card, I took the $9,000, I bought the house, and I put a couple thousand into it, fixed the roof. The septic tank, you talk about something creative. The septic tank was buried in the backyard. It was a U-Haul box truck. I'm not making this up. That was a septic tank. Yep, it was a U-Haul box truck. I don't even think my son doesn't even know that. Yeah, and Marlis, I think we've met, but I know I've seen you at the real estate meetings, and so, but yeah, that's not something. It didn't make it to MLS, and I've only been licensed 3 years. So, and the only reason I got licensed was because I got tired of giving up big listings in my own neighborhood, and I still got to keep the deal together. But I bought that one. But when you get in with a banker, and that banker's going to say, you got to put down 20%. You get in with that banker, and then the banker doesn't know that it's borrowed money that you're putting down. They don't know that, and you sure as hell ain't going to tell them. So then, you find your house for $100,000, you got some credit lines, $20,000, $30,000 worth of credit loans, and you need to apply for credit cards. Now be careful, don't go out and apply for $200,000 worth of credit. Then when the banker looks at your stuff, he's gonna say, oh, well, you got $200,000, and he's still gonna count that against you. So you've got it's a fine line as to how much credit you obtain. It can almost be, you can almost shoot yourself in the foot. But then after you buy, you get your $80,000 house, and you gotta put down $10,000 or $15,000. You go to your credit card, you take that money, and you go put that money down to your banker. And I probably had one time $50,000 in the bank. It wasn't none of it mine. I was paying 21% interest on this money, but it looked good to the bankers. It looked good to the bankers. And then I'd pay the credit card back because you get a year 0 interest. So you got that money sitting in the bank, and I don't even know if my wife even knew about some of this stuff back then. This is first place, she started taking, well, she started taking over my books about 5 years after we started dating. And the reason was because the bank would call me, used to be First South here, and they would call me and they're like, hey, I can put some money in the bank. And I'm like, because I didn't never balance a checkbook. I had a wealthy man tell me one time, if you got to balance your checkbook, it means you don't have any money. And so I never balanced it. So, and I thought, just like Jeff Foxworthy said, you know, hey, I got checks, it means I got money. And so they would call me and I'd have to run up there and put money in the bank or whatever. So she finally took it over, and she learned to kite checks and everything pretty good. So yes, she should be in jail right now.
So these days, a lot of people are talking about HELOCs or home equity line of credits. What are your thoughts on using that as funds if theoretically you don't have enough on your credit card or you don't have credit card?
I think it's a great idea. You know, it's a great idea. It might put you upside down in your home, but if you're buying a money-making asset, then I think it's a great idea. If you use a HELOC to go buy a boat, no, you're screwing up. So use a HELOC if you got that, if you have access to that, use it. And then once, even if your credit is marginal, and mine's, and I gotta say, I've always had good credit. I've always, for whatever reason, unlike my sister, I've always paid everybody. You know, even, you know, if I didn't have it, I didn't buy it. And the whole adage that people say, well, my daddy taught me if I can't pay cash for it, then don't buy it. That's a bunch of crap. That's a bunch of crap. Anybody that says that, look and see what they have, look at their assets, they ain't got nothing. Unless they're already 45 or 50 years old, you know, and now I try to pay for most of my stuff without taking out loans. But when you're young and you're starting out, you need credit and good debt. There's nothing wrong with that. $1 million in net, you know, if it's good debt, it's okay. I mean, you think Donald Trump and those guys, they still borrow money. You know, they still borrow their money. So there's nothing wrong with borrowing money as long as it's good debt. And I'll ask you guys this, probably most of you guys probably know this, and I don't know the exact number, but if I offered any of you guys, and this is, if I offered any of you guys, let's say $1 million right now, or you take one penny and you double it every day for 31 days, what would most of you take? Most of you know that, right? You've seen that. Okay, so my point is, in here, in the equation, after you've started to make some money in here, after you get $1 million or, you know, $250,000 net worth or $300,000 net worth, don't go take it. I mean, go reward yourself. Go take you a little cruise or something, but don't go take that money and go sell half of what you worked for and mess up that equation. If you take that penny on the 15th day and you take the money that's doubled, you've screwed up the whole equation. So you've got to look, if you want to make $1 million, you've got to look to the end to see what it's going to be. You can't mess up the equation by taking that penny, because on the 25th day is really when that money, when it goes from 16,000 to 32,000, and then 32 goes to 64, then 64 goes, you know, and then it really starts. But if you take that penny out, that, you know, 15th, 20th day, and reward yourself with something stupid, it messes up the whole equation. So look at where you want to be in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, you know, and that's, you know, that's key. Because a lot of my buddies that flipped, they flipped their houses right now, they don't have houses, and so you need to buy and hold. But I'm not saying don't flip some. I think if I would have flipped a few early on, I maybe could have grown a little bit faster, but I still have no regrets in, you know, in the way I did things and built what I have. I got any more questions?
I got a question. I'm in the midst of a rehab, and I looked at the term sheet, and the lender that I went to wants about $11,000 in fees and such. It's about 11% of the loan. So I was going to ask you, if you were in my shoes, you did your first rehab, or did some credit building, would you take the risk and finish the rehab with the money that they offered me, or would you go to the local banks and rebuild credit more, maybe try to get some train lines, go that route instead?
That goes back to the thing. Do you remember where I said whenever I would borrow 21% to go remodel a house or put that money down, I got in there and I hustled because I did not want to pay that credit card company 21% for loan. So I got in there and I hustled. So if that money, if it's 11%, and it's only a few, you know, if it's only $10,000, $15,000 on 11%, that's, I don't know what your rehab cost is.
72, and they want $11,000 in fees, so they're gonna give me 85,000, but it's 72,000 that I get to work.
The $11,000 in fees is a lot on that amount of money. That's a lot. That's a lot. Now, if you're gonna come out of it and there's nobody else to lend you the money, if you're gonna come out of it, and you've got $20,000 equity, you know, $25,000 equity, then all you've done is use their money. Anybody know what OPM is? Other people's money. I love it. I love it. And so that's what you're doing. So my dad used to get on me, and because my dad worked for the man for all these years, had a parking space, and you know, he's got $1 million net worth now, but hell, it took him 25 years to do it. You know, working his job, and then, so if that's your only source, then take the 11 and do it. But if you can go to your local brick and mortar bank, then try that. But yeah, I got ripped off a lot by banks when I was coming out, but I'm using their money, making them looking like Mickey Mouses, and doing these houses, you know, and then so. God, it was something else I was gonna tell you that was gonna tip my tongue. As far as getting ripped off by the banks. I mean, and that's what they do. Is poor man's revenge is a bank, you know. And so. But anyway.
What's the best deal that you've ever made?
Probably that one for $9,000 with the septic tank. That was one of the best one. I kept it like 2 years, and I ended up selling it for like $45,000. And then, and probably. Asbestos.
Try that one, that's good.
Asbestos all over the pipes and everything. And I ended up buying the thing. We remodeled it and sold it to a grad student. He used it. I showed him how to set it up as a rooming house. Oh yeah, I got to go over the rooming house with you guys here in a little bit. That's cash flow. I showed him how to set it up as a rooming house. And I think he called me like 5 years ago. I think he still got it. I mean, I think he's had it for like 20 years. But we paid, I don't know, like $30,000 for it, put about 15 or 20 in it, and sold it for like 130 or something. Now it's probably worth 500 because it's in that, it's on that revitalization thing. But we made, you know, 3 times. And then, yeah, and then when I was flipping condos at Myrtle Beach, that's another market too, guys, when you're doing that. A condo association, each building is like a neighborhood. So I probably owned, at one time, a buddy and I owned 10% of the oceanfront market at Myrtle Beach. So we were just slap rolling. We were printing money. But that was almost my downfall. I lost my rear, but I didn't lose anything. I didn't have to give anything back. But I got a little greedy in that, you know, flipping the condos. The market was moving so fast, kind of like it was a couple years ago. It was moving so fast. And so I got a little greedy, and it was a good life lesson, you know, for me. But if you're buying condos, look at each condo, because this condo section here might have problems, but then the one next to it, the association, everything might be good. So each condo is like a neighborhood. Each building is like a neighborhood. Rooming houses. When I was first out of college, I got a liberal arts degree in acting and communications. So doesn't have anything to do with business. So I'm chasing that dream, doing little bit parts, making a few dollars here and there, and the way I got it into real estate, finally made a little money. So then I let that go, because I could figure out, okay, I can make $1 million doing this, or I can maybe see Tom Cruise one day, you know, and maybe, but I knew I could do it in real estate. If you do the numbers and you guys really kind of go after it, it ain't that hard, you know. And but rooming houses, I still own 3 now, and that's one of them. Let's see, one of them I have on Rolling Road. It's 202 Rolling Road, and it's got 4 rooms in it. Each room I rent for I think it's $525 a week. You guys do the numbers on this, just in your head while we're talking. Each room, it's 4 rooms at $525 a week.
A week?
I mean, a month, no, a month, yeah, 520, yeah, 525. Yeah, it was 75 a week whenever I first started. It was funny, I went over the morning we got married, we were going to Mexico, and I went and collected, the morning I got married, I collected the rent. I had just a ton of cash, they come out and they pay you, and, I'm getting married that day, and I'm collecting rent, they come out, they pay. Anyway, but it's $525 a month for 4 rooms, and then I got one little room, and I'm not kidding when I say this, and I'll show you guys if you want to see it. It was our broom closet. Where you going? I'm just kidding. So it was a closet where we kept junk in, and I needed an extra room. So I rented that to a dude. I was renting all the other rooms. This was 25 years ago. I rented that to a dude for $60 a week. And 75 for regular size rooms, and a room the size of this table where Mason's sitting. I'm getting 65. He wanted it, and that was, all utilities paid. And then it had an apartment there was an apartment on the side, and I looked at it. I'm like, man, that's a 3-room apartment. And I looked at that, so I framed off that room. Right beside of it, rented that room for 75, rented that one for 75, and then the 2-room apartment, which the 2 rooms was 1 room and a bathroom, and I got $100 a week because they had their own private bath in that one. So that's cash flow. So I'm making a couple grand a month on when I'm right out of college, which that's a good lick for somebody that's driving a $500 car, my house payment. So just, keep that in mind. I either wanted 2 things when I was doing stuff. I either wanted cash flow or equity, one of the 2. Now, I never was greedy. I had buddies, and they would say, well, if I can't make $30,000 on it, I ain't gonna get it. And I'd look at it and I'm like, well, it's only a little bit of equity in it now, but I think it's gonna be worth, I think I'm gonna have about $25,000 equity in 2 years. And it goes back to that thing where you're looking ahead. You want a quick buck, go out here and wait tables or bartend or something. Get your money that night. But real estate will take you a little bit. Anybody got any more questions?
You remember what the thing you told me was about rooming house? What you had to bring with you when you went to get the money?
Yeah. So sometimes, and I've got properties, I've had to fight some of my tenants, but sometimes, yeah, I'm not making this up, and I keep my wife in we live in a little subdivision called Ashley Woods, and I keep her in the Ashley Woods bubble, and she doesn't know what I've done. But yeah, sometimes so I would go, and I don't feel the need to take a gun everywhere I go. But some of my properties, let's face it, I'm buying this stuff that other people didn't want to buy, and I would just take it. I'd take it and I would just set it kind of right there close to me, and everybody come in and they'd pay me and they'd see it there, and I really didn't get it. And this was back when I was only like 150. I'm 200 pounds now, so I was much smaller then. But there's another book I want you guys to get. It's called Caring and Feeding of Tenants. It's out of print now, but it's so true. Caring and Feeding of Tenants. And it's a smart aleck book, but it's true. One of the things the guy says in there, he says, make your tenants think you're crazy. He said, before you go see them, he said, pour a little bourbon on your shirt and show up, running your mouth. He said, they think you're crazy and they'll, maybe respect you a little bit more. But for the most part, even my stuff that's over in the hood, most people are going to respect you if you're good to them. Even though they don't have much, if you're crappy to them out of the gate and you try to chide them or browbeat them, it's never going to work. But even your low-end stuff, you gotta, if you're good, then usually they'll be fine. Now, there's some of my houses I have to go to, and I walk in and I'm like, clean this crap up. I'm like, this is the way you live? And that's the way I'll talk to them, because that's the way they're treating my property. So when you're a landlord, if you're buying and holding, and I'll say this and I'll close unless anybody's got any other questions, you're gonna have a mother, and she's gonna have 2 kids, and she's not paying you. When she's not paying you, she's stealing from you. And a lot of times they're gonna get, if it's some type of property, they can get some kind of assistance. Nobody in America starved last year. Nobody starved. So there's food out here, and if you don't think it is, you can go to, there's churches 5 days a week you can go to, and we should probably do this. You go to and get whatever food you want. but there's no reason why somebody can't pay market rent. So you're gonna have to evict people, and you can't say, well, oh, they got you, so they're offering it. You have your own family, your own mortgage, you have to look past that. Now, I'm not saying don't be a humanitarian if they really need it. If somebody's sick, you got a sick kid, then you gotta dig deep and see where you're gonna help. But you're gonna have to sometimes be the bad guy. Because let's face it, nobody cares. When that mortgage comes to you guys from the bank, you think you're gonna be able to go to your banker and say, Miss Thompson can't pay me this month, and the banker's gonna say, well, you don't have to pay me. That ain't the way that works. So you gotta get it in your head to be that landlord that's gonna make them pay.
So on that thought, do you prefer month-to-month leases or annual?
Annual. But I do let my tenants out of my, if somebody's been with me for 8, 9 months and they've been good, I'll let them out of their lease. If they're, if they've been good and, they're gonna leave me the property back. But if somebody moves in and 3 months later, they're gonna move out after I've turned a unit, now they're not getting the deposit back and I'll probably evict them. And most of the time, when you're buying these houses, don't let them, they'll say, well, let me paint and work off the deposit. Don't do that. Don't do that, because what's gonna happen is, you're not gonna have a deposit, and when those pigs move out, and most of my tenants, and I wanna get back a deposit on everything. My stuff that I manage down at the beach, those people get all their deposits back. But my stuff here, I mean, Bill manages more higher end stuff than I do, but most of my people don't get a deposit. But I would like to give everybody back a deposit, because it means I don't have to do anything. But don't let them work off their deposit, because you're gonna still have to paint at the end when they leave. You're gonna have to fix what the dog chewed up. And then you're not gonna have a deposit to fix that stuff with. So.
Do you still have the board houses, any board houses?
Yeah.
Does the city give you any problem?
They do. So when they do, what I do is I call them, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna shut them down. And I know Jay Baker, are you from here?
I am. I'm very familiar with you shut them down and they're at the homeless shelter or at Mercy and Grace.
Just remember
or
that
without
this is being recorded for posterity.
So.
I'm just, that's it.
No.
I understand, because we don't have, doing away with those created another issue.
And
they don't.
And the city doesn't like them. A lot of times people complain with the city, and the question I pose to the city is, especially with Jeffrey Smythe, I had it out with him many times. He's like, why don't you get better people in here? And I'm like, well, why don't you clean it up? And I don't care if Jeffrey sees it. I ain't got nothing, I don't have anything going. But the thing is the question is, they're like, why don't you get better people and all this, but why do we have the need for a rooming house? You know what I mean? There's a need for it. So whenever I say, and I can shut them down now, because I'm at a point in my life and my career with some, I don't need that headache. But when I go to shut them down, I'll call the city and I'll say, okay, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna shut this house down, and then I'm gonna David Morton and I are gonna send pizzas over here to town hall, and I'm gonna send them all over there to eat. So y'all take them. You guys take them. And then I'll get a call back from one of the councilmen going, hey man, just keep it open. We're gonna take care of this, because there's a need for it. That's the last stop before the street. But main reason I did it was because it was cash flow. But they're management intensive. So if you guys get one, be ready to get dirty. Yeah. But it is cash flow.
They're definitely loud investment.
Yep. So.
I got another question. I guess.
No, that's fine. I'm the best at Q&A, but getting up here teaching with a script, I'm not that good. But Q&A, I'm all day long.
So what, looking back over your journey, what was one of the worst deals that you bought? You was like, man, I don't know about this.
Getting married. It was, no.
Somebody's in trouble.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, make sure you guys get a prenup signed, by the way. Yeah, it was probably some of my Myrtle Beach stuff that I bought. I bought stuff down there towards the end when the market is high, like now. Now the market's high. You guys need to be looking. And right now, I picked up a couple over the last couple of years, but they've been kind of off market. And you can still pick up one or two, even on MLS now, that's fair. But start looking. I'm waiting to see what the new normal is gonna be. Like if buying, there's stuff over, and I call it the hood. selling for $250,000, and I'm like, I can't believe it. And it seems like the Raleigh boys and the Greensboro boys, Chapel Hill boys are coming in, and they're coming in. Where you going? That one's my son, and he's leaving. Go ahead, I'll see you, buddy. All right, love you. All right, see you. All right, yeah, it's enough of that. See you. And so where were we at before I was bust on?
You were talking about, there's still some deals out
Yeah,
there.
yeah, that there are, but I'm waiting to see kind of what the new normal is gonna be. You know, if the new normal was buying something over on Queen Anne Street or Delaware Avenue for 150 and it's falling down, then I'll jump back in it and I'll start buying more, you know? But that's kind of what I'm waiting to see what's gonna happen. Do I want the market to drop? I want the market to do what it did in 2008. I want it to just drop, fall out, because I got kind of held my pants down a little bit. I didn't lose anything, but you know, my wife stayed with me. We struggled. Yeah, she stayed with me, and we were able to keep our home and our other bad investments that I made. But it wasn't necessarily my fault. It was just the market. But to answer your question, it was some of the condos that I got a little bit too far out there, and we were printing money, and I built, and I'll tell you guys this now because I don't have it. I built $1 million house in McIntosh back in 2005, and did I need something like that? Hell no. So 1.2. I mean, we all grew up in, or at least I did, 1,500 square foot houses and lower middle to middle, but I built that house, and that was 2000. It's been 20 some years ago. 1.2 then's what I had in it. I didn't need that, and so think about really what you need and how happy you are. Right now, we're in the smallest house we've been in since we've been married. We're happier now than we are, and we can move. We can, if we wanted to now, not to be particular, we can move back to that house now. But then, that house, we were making money. I was flipping houses, and all my rentals, everything was going good. The economy was going good. My house payment was $6,700 a month. I mean, and that's not out of the realm for people that really have, but think about how much you need, you know, when you go buying that new truck or that new whatever. And think about, you know, where you could put that money into something that's gonna make you money. You know, think about the one penny rule. You know what I mean? When you mess up the equation and that. So think about your goal.
Do you remember what you sold that house for?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's a good one. Okay. Yeah, we had.
I was thinking it, but I wasn't gonna ask.
No, don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to ask. Yeah, you guys ask, speak up, because there's nothing that I've not done. That you guys, there's nothing you guys are gonna do that I hadn't done or seen. I sold it for $925, so I left and I wrote the builder a check for $50,000 when we moved in, and I had the other money. I refinanced about 10 or 12 houses and paid the builder, and that's the only way I got out of it. 3 of our neighbors lost their homes. They lost it. The shit hit the fan, they lost it. And so we did not. They all thought I was crazy, but I had stuff down at Myrtle Beach, and your luxury items, your stuff at Myrtle Beach, your stuff, you know, that stuff is gonna go first, and then it's gonna work its way up here. And so I saw what was going on in Myrtle. So call me lucky, blessed, whatever you wanna call it. But we sold it until about 2 or 3 years ago. It was the highest resale in there, even though we lost $250,000. So yeah, that didn't feel good. And it wasn't $250,000 equity that we lost. It's $250,000 cash that I'd worked for. And so I lost about $1 million in, you know, I had to jump back in there again yeah, well, everybody thinks it was 08. It really started happening if you had real estate at the end of 06. And then 07, everybody's like, oh, what's happening? And then 08, everybody's like, oh, crap. So if you had a bunch of real estate, which is all we have, we don't have any stocks or anything like that. All we have is a bunch of houses. So.
Yeah, I think it's important to think about this. As successful as Joel is, he made a mistake. I've made multiple mistakes. Henry, you ever made a mistake? Ben, you ever made a mistake? All of us have made mistakes, and we just got to fail forward and not worry about it. If you're getting it, you're going to screw up and you're going to make a mistake. It's just part of life.
Nobody bats 1,000. And especially if you got a spouse.
And for those of you that don't know Joel,
that'll back you.
3 days without his wife, he's in trouble.
Yeah.
Just 3 days.
I could never do the military. Yeah, and that's about right. If you got a spouse that really backs you, then that does help.
That makes a difference.
Yeah, I mean, even though we bust on being married and all that stuff. Yeah.
So when the market does go back down, what was your method of finding the good deals or houses or?
I still, up to the last couple of years now, I call them postcard buyers, and I get a postcard from Bill about once every 2 or 3 weeks at one of my houses, you know, Bill and his partner that he's not here. I call them postcard buyers. But, we would go, we didn't do a lot on the internet. We would, up to about 3 or 4 years ago. Now everything's generated. You go out here, take a picture of a house, and it sends it to the neighbor, This guy here, Trip, he would be a good one to know that, but we knocked on doors, and we mailed letters to find deals, and you call your realtors, you know, you call your local realtors. And now, since I'm licensed, I might have shot myself in the foot going to go get my license, thank you to Trip, that's actually been good. I mean, I think, you know, if you got time to go get your license, go get them. But now a lot of people the realtors don't call me like they used to. And I still tell them, I'm like, I'll still pay you, because I don't look at MLS every day. But yeah, don't be afraid to knock on the door or, you know, talk to Aunt Martha, or a friend of a friend's probably gonna be your best deal when you're getting something. When you see something on the MLS now, we're fighting. Yeah, I'll buy 10. I'll buy 10 tomorrow if the deal's right, and I don't have to steal it. So many people now think they have to steal them. I mean, you don't have to steal them. Real estate's a slow million. You know, in 2 or 3 years, it's gonna catch up, and those properties that you paid almost market value for, as long as they're cash flowing and paying for themselves, they're gonna go up. They're gonna go up. And then when you buy a water property, like I own three water properties, and my 3 water properties are probably worth as much as my 40 other houses. So, because they're gonna be 5 to 10%, you know, 5 to 10 times more than a property. So if you can, you know, get a property that's got water, or it's got, you know, the water view, then it's gonna be worth, even if it's a pond, it's gonna be worth more. So somebody else had something back here. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, your portfolio, is it mostly single-family homes? Are you some condos? Is it like a mix? Do you have more than, like, multifamily? Were you 4 units or more?
The biggest thing I have is a triplex, and then we have a home at Holden Beach, which has done really well. I bought that 20 years ago, and it's on a canal at Holden Beach. I don't know if you know, it's a little island between Wilmington and Myrtle Beach. Not a whole lot to it. It's a 1970s house, but it's gone up probably 7 or 8 times since we got it. But most of my stuff is single family, and the reason that I bought single family, for one, you know, when I'm out of college, in the bank gonna lend me $2 million, but they'll lend me $40,000 on a little house. When you get single family, any of us can pretty much buy that. If you need to dump it, anybody can kind of buy 2 or 3 little houses, you know. But when you got a 40-unit apartment complex for a couple $1 million, that lowers your buying pool. And when I was selling my $1 million house out there, you know, this was 20 years ago. How many people 20 years ago, you knew, buying $1 million homes? Not many. I mean, you talk about drinking during the week.
It was like one in the MLS per year.
Yeah.
Back
And
then.
so, yeah, and I was one of the idiots that had one for sale. And so your buying pool is lower. When you're buying a single family, your option to buy is more, and your option to sell, to get out of it, is more if you want to, you know, if you want to dump it and get out. So that's why I had single family. Do I wish now that I had some, you know, more stuff under one roof? Yeah. But back then I didn't really have the option, because you don't have a lot of capital to get started with. Nobody, if you're new, you know, what banker's gonna lend you $1 million on a big apartment building?
You got the vacant lots?
I do, but I pretty much peeled those off. Yeah, but I bought a lot of houses with, I just sold one, it's over on Holt Street. Matter of fact, it's a rooming house there, and then it had a vacant lot beside of it, and then on the other corner, this is on 210 West Holt Street. And I paid like $35,000 for the rooming house, and it was probably worth, after I did the work on it, it was probably worth 60. Then I got the lot beside it, then I got the lot adjacent on the other street, and so I sold the lot on the other street I kept it 20 years. I sold the lot on the other street for $18,000. Then I paid off a couple of houses with that I'd been paying on for like 13 years, and then I just built a house on the one that was right beside of it. So just the 2 lots paid me
If you
back.
got more lots, I will buy, I will buy.
2 lot, yeah, 2
I'll buy.
lots, but,
I'll buy.
yeah, well, they're not out there now, they're not out there, and I don't have any more. I've sold mine, but yeah, I get calls every week from people that want lots, and, but, you know, but time I built that house, I built it with Arthur Hall, and you probably know him.
I do.
I could have, probably, I mean, we didn't make that much money. I probably could have sold him the lot, let him build on it, and not even screwed with the house, and got, so I don't get, you know, the building is so expensive now. I don't get, you know, all these, you know, young kids wanting to build
Well,
instead of
now's a
buying.
good time to build under one roof.
It's
You
a-
can put a quadruplex on any lot in the city.
Yeah, if you get multifamily, yeah,
You don't
there,
even
but.
have to be
but-
zoned,
but
any
the-
lot in the city of Burlington,
Mhm.
single family, any residential lot can put a quadruplex on.
Get out, I didn't know that.
That must be new.
That's the new, UDO. Long as there's no overriding restrictions like some of the neighborhoods have.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I might have just sold a lot I had too cheap then.
I'm subdividing 4 right
That,
now.
that came from Ian Baltuta, because I didn't know it either until he came to my affordable housing.
Now what is your name?
Marie Platt.
Now what do you do?
I'm a real estate agent, I'm an investor.
And do you know Vernon Clapp? Are you related to those guys?
I'm not related to Vernon, but I do know him,
Okay,
yes,
okay,
yes.
all right.
Yes, when I started this venture, he was one of my first people that I know.
Yeah, okay.
He's been doing it a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, I never talked to Vernon, but I did, Rodney Smith kind of helped me out a little bit, and for whatever reason, the guy that's sitting behind you, his dad helped me out, Richard
Yes,
Jones.
I know Richard
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Richard.
helped out, yeah, and so you get some that'll talk to you when you're starting out, and you get some that won't. Now, you guys don't call me to pick my brain over coffee or, something like that. I don't need anybody to buy me coffee or buy me lunch.
Well, you buy a coffee and we'll still pick your brain.
I get that all the time, you know, and so, but I do some, a little bit of consulting. Trip here, has done that. He's worked for the Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and he does a good wholesale class that the company he used to work for, and then of course Bill does this, but anyway, well, I've enjoyed talking to you guys. If anybody got any more, I'm much better at Q&A than a lesson, but.
Different type of question.
Yeah.
I'm curious about the insurances you carry.
My wife pretty much shops for that, but I carry insurance, on of course, everything. I insure.
In addition to.
We have an umbrella.
Okay.
And so, yeah, you need the liability, because people will try to, they will. I've never.
Right,
I've
that's what I
never-
was always told, so I have it.
They will, but my mother-in-law used to tell me, when I'm buying these things up, she's like, be careful, you're gonna get fined, you're gonna get sued. I'm like, okay, so I'm not gonna make money because I'm afraid I'm gonna get sued. You know what I mean? And so you can't have that in the back of your head, but you do need to be covered, you know, with a nice, umbrella policy. And I'm not telling you not to go through Geico or one of those, but we carry ours with State Farm. I just don't mess around with insurance. You know, I carry it even on, you know, I just sold a 96 Ford 150. Had full coverage on it. I mean, we just, and a couple times insurance, we've had fires, and if you got a good insurance company like State Farm, a big company, they're not gonna fight you on paying out. So keep that in mind when you have a claim, you know.
So you probably wouldn't need it, but do you carry lots of rent type insurance?
Mhm.
You do still?
Yep, we got
You
that.
have all of that?
So when you have a fire, yep, we got that, yep, they'll pay for that too, yeah. So State Farm's probably the most expensive insurance, but, a buddy of mine used to own a State Farm, agency. He said, State Farm, they have the money, he said, and if they need to pay out every single policy that they have now, they're still worth $1 billion or $2 or something like that. So, but you get some of these little insurance companies that come into Florida, and then they close their doors and they leave. So yeah, but still, you know, you still need to shop it, and make sure you put your deductible on up there, and that'll save you a lot.
Do you split your houses up between LLCs, and if you do, how many do you typically put in an LLC?
I do. At first, whenever I was first borrowing money, I had to personally sign for everything, And so an LLC really isn't gonna do anything if you've got it personally signed. And this is something that Bill would be better. Bill is always better at the LLCs, the land trust and that kind of thing than me. But what I do now is, and I still have some of my stuff that's not paid for in LLC, but I've got my stuff that's paid for, it's definitely in our LLCs. And then we have a corporation now that we started. But you know, when I first started, I didn't have anything, nothing from nothing. So I didn't really think about all that, you know, starting LLCs and all that stuff until I had a little net worth. But yeah, everything we have now, especially as soon as we pay something off, it goes in the LLC.
Separate LLC.
It's separate. No, not for each property. No, not, each property, we've got a couple LLCs and stuff that we have paid for goes in one LLC and some of our other stuff goes into another one. And then we have a corporation. And so, so you guys don't think, you guys don't think, you don't need LLCs and corporations and all that if you only got one or two houses. You just get it in your name. Don't worry about spending the money on that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? You wait till you got a little something.
Well, I don't have a question for you, but I just want to give you a shout out. Joel helped me get into real estate. I've been in real estate for, I don't know, just really a few months. And back in 2002, I actually bought my first house from Bill. And,
That's the first house I wholesaled.
his first wholesale, my first flip, 2002, October of 2002. And I started buying rental properties. And Joel, I bought I think the third house I bought, it was one that was in foreclosure that you had owned before, and then the guy, it went back in the foreclosure after you sold it, you fixed it up, sold it to the guy, then he didn't pay or whatever, went into foreclosure, so I bought that one. That was in Mebane, Holt Street.
Yeah, Holt Street. Yeah, do you still own that one?
I'm getting ready to put it on the market. So
That thing looks good. I rode by it the other day.
Yeah,
It's
so
a
you-
3-bedroom house, guys, for it's like 750 square feet for a 3-bedroom house. So that's half the size of this room. Yeah, and I owned it. I think I might have owned it twice. I've owned a couple of my houses. I've owned a couple of them 3 times. You know, I bought them back 3 different times. It's crazy.
Joel was very gracious and with his time, he's very kind to me, and we've done some deals together over the years, but he helped me get into the rental business, and going back to his rooming houses, he tried to sell me a rooming house on a lease option with him. And so, you remember this one, the one on Ireland Street?
That one was a 5-plex.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
To me, it was a rooming house.
Yeah.
I'm new in the real estate. I didn't know what I was doing, but Joel gave me kind of the lowdown on how to approach it, how to handle it, you know, how to work with the tenants, get them to pay and all this, and so.
Yeah, you probably weren't ready for that one.
So Joel set me up a lease option for 2,000, I think it was either 1,000 or 2,000 a month to you. But you know, I had the rights to the house, and so we set up a purchase price and everything. I knew, I did my calculations, and I knew, you know, as I went along that I could eventually pay him off and get, you know, title to the property. So I go in and I'm managing everything. Like Joel still manages all of his, but I don't manage all of mine, but still some. But anyway, I go in and Joel gives me, again, you know, how you need to act. You know, it's almost like he's using his skills from UNCG acting to show me what I need to do. I just didn't have the guts that he had.
You're too nice a guy. You're too nice a guy.
Nice, and so, but I would go in on Saturday morning, bang on the doors at 9 o'clock. Rent! You know, and so I was successful for a little while. But, you know, and Joel, I'd come out and I'd just have a lot of cash. I mean, it's like, it's a bunch of 1s and 5s and 10s, but it was I'm like, good God.
I forgot about that.
So,
I forgot about that thing, yeah.
So, I think you know, we did it for about 6 months, and, you know, I just knew I couldn't keep going that way because it just wasn't, it didn't fit, as Joel said, I'm a nice, you know,
Too
nice
nice.
guy. And but Joel took a lot of time with me. He poured a lot of time in investment, so everything Joel has said, I can vouch for that it's the truth. And he's been so successful over all these years, and he's helped me be successful as well as Bill, and I'll always be grateful to both of you guys.
Well, good, well, thank you.
You talked me out of getting a rooming house. You said, Bill, if you get a rooming house, you just gotta bring a gun and go collect the money. Cause you're gonna need the gun to get out once you got the money. I said, no, I ain't doing that.
It's cash flow, I mean, it's a good cash flow to do that.
That's
Just Venmo.
Not these idiots. They don't have, a couple of them might have Cash App, but they don't have Venmo. But yeah, you can't, you gotta go back, and when you guys get that book, and that book's out of print, The Care and Feeding of Tenants, you get that book, and it goes over some of the things you have to do, and some of the things, we're being recorded in it. So, but some of the things, I mean, you can't be a nice guy sometimes when you're doing it, because these people are looking out, you know, for themselves, and a lot of times they're not paying you, they just simply don't, you know, so you gotta think, you know, at the end of the day, they're stealing from me. I had a pastor that worked for me one time, and it was November, and he said, "Are you gonna evict these people in November?" I said, "I'm gonna evict them." I said, "I just walked in." I said, "There's 4 adults sitting in there at 12 o'clock during the day that could be working." And this is about 15 years ago. The guy's name was Doug. I forget his last name, but he ran the men's mission over here. I know his last name, I'd say. So anyway, so I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna evict them. You know, I've got a family, and back 15, 20 years ago, I didn't have anything paid for." And he said, "God, I can't believe he was right." I said, "Okay, Doug," I said, "I'll tell you what, I'll let him stay this month if you'll forego your paycheck for the next 2 weeks. That way, you can work for me, and then I'll use that money to make the mortgage payment." He said, "Well, I can't do that." And I said, "Well, Doug, they're stealing from me." I said, "You got 4 adults sitting in here that's not working, and they're stealing from me." I said, I'm gonna evict them," and I did evict them. And you know, after that, after I put it to him like that, that preacher was a pit bull. I mean, he went and collected them, and that's, you know, what it was. But like I said, you can have a circumstance where somebody's really gonna need, you know, something, and then you'll make the right decision there. But in the rental business, they don't pay you, they're stealing from you.
That's right.
And you're gonna get story after story.
You're gonna get it, yeah, you're gonna get it. I got a guy that just moved in last month, house I got in Danville, right near the casino. The guy told me I'm a pastor. Pastors, plumbers, and policemen, they all want something for nothing. They all want something for nothing. And he said, I'm a pastor, some little church, and then he works another job or something like that. And he hadn't paid me, just moved in last month. And I told my wife when we get back after this weekend, I mean, I'll file on him on Monday. And I mean, it doesn't matter to me if he's a pastor. I'll file on my mom if she doesn't pay me. You know, I mean, it's your rear or theirs. You know,
If it comes between you eating and them eating, we can eat.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. I mean, you gotta, you know, you'll figure it out when you really, you know, help sometime. But most of the time, Jay McCann told me this. He said buyers are liars, and a lot of times they're gonna give you some crap, and it's a reason why they're you know, 45, 50 years old and don't have anything. You know what I mean? It's just to be sick, you know. So
Tell everybody the secret to how you know whether a tenant's lying or not.
when they talk,
Lips are moving.
that's it. When the lips are moving, that's right. Yep. So, but anyway, anybody else got anything? Anything else?
Thank you so much.
Yep. You got it. You got it. All right. Yeah. I enjoyed it, and I'm gonna go eat again.
All right.
Cool.
Good deal. Thank you. Oh yeah, we do have a WhatsApp group. If you want to join, do you have? I didn't bring the flyer.
If you want to see me before you leave, you can scan it. I try to record and take notes and put them on in case you're not here 1 month or something. You can at least get the notes and then possibly record.
Excellent. So thank y'all for coming. We will be back next month, the second Thursday of the month. Hank may be running that meeting for us because Sean and I are going to be in San Antonio, Texas, listening to some people teach about real estate. It's the Joe Homebuyer Annual Convention where we talk about who did what and all that stuff. We made the top 20, so that they'll give us a little something for us. So it's kind of cool. And we just do real estate investing part-time. We spend most of our time doing property management, and we're trying to do more of the investing and less of the listings and more of the property management. That's the two arms of our business that we want to grow. Thank y'all for coming. We look forward to seeing y'all next month. Have a good one.
You guys need to be reading something all the time. Be filling your mind with something. Go to the bookstore, and you know, I know a lot of people like the e-books, but it's still nice to go in a bookstore and, you know, find the self-help and the how-to real estate stuff. And do it, and get the ones with the storage where people have actually done it, just like what we did here. You get the ones with the graphs and all that, you're gonna lose, unless you're just a brainiac, that's gonna lose you. But the ones with the stories, where the guy tells what they've done, that's gonna pique your interest the most. So, yeah, always keep something on your desk.
I'm trying to film everybody right now. So it's here for posterity. So all y'all gonna be on YouTube Live. So make sure you follow our channel on YouTube Live. I'll give you the link to it. But we are posting every day, 5 days a week on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. So if you guys could follow our page, that'd be awesome. Thanks for coming.
I got the QR code.
All right. Now I gotta figure out how to turn this off. How do I turn it off? Did I hit the X?
Should be what it is, yeah.
Is that it? All right, hit X.